Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the lobby. It is your HGC pre-game show. We run it twice weekly, and when the audio is working and Eli isn't interrupting me, it runs perfectly fine. My apologies until daylight saving is over. I am going to have no time to prepare for the show, so I'm literally going to have to jump in on the fly like we have tonight with me, as you've seen, and as you've seen us talk to each other without being able to hear us. I have with me Disconcur. Disco, welcome.
Oh, hey, Blank, what's going on? Oh, there's always those little moments. Everyone has an unfortunate mute time. How are you? It's
Better now that we have audio, I believe. I have been keeping an eye on the chat, but there hasn't been anything said, so I don't think they noticed or anyone was watching at the time. At least we can get straight into where we left off, and we have kind of a second run at the introductions and things like that. Disco, you are a HGC commentator. You got to cast the games on the Thursday night. How was it? Talk to me.
It was actually really good, Blank. So on Thursday night we saw on stream the Rich Gang versus Downfall game. Went to a full 3 series, and then I think we also got to witness the Nekomimi versus Quick Match Warriors, which also went to a full 3 series. I was a little bit concerned in our region that we might have such a huge skill gap, or disparity between all the teams. But I mean, this shows that in our everyone coming out of the preseason, anyone could take it. Anyone could take it this season.
That's very right. We saw a massive difference between the two nights. So Tuesday night we had very quick games, very short games between the likes of Nomi and Outlaws, 2 of the top tier teams, and the games were over in 25 minutes. Yet we're watching a couple of the let's say lower ranked teams on the Thursday night, and it went to a full 3-game series. It was so exciting to watch.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Just to point out there, like Downfall, that's a great team that is when they do win their matches, they're winning them in such a rapid time. The 16 minutes or under sort of aspect. It's just they're just clean. They're cleaning up the matches they win in, but unfortunately, in the matches they don't, they're tending to go a little bit longer, and that's when they get taken apart.
Yeah, it seems like when they get dragged out into that late game, it does take them, well, it gives them more of an opportunity to throw without lack of any other better words, which we have seen in a couple of the previous games in preseason as well. They did tend to throw a little bit later into the game as the games wore on, but they were dominating rather early. Another interesting point to note, Disco, we did bring it up last night as well, but Rich Gang, even though they won the series, actually forfeited both of those games, giving Downfall the win. So they finished the round or the week on 2 points, so 2 wins from their games. They beating Aztec in round 1, or in game number 1. Yes, it's really hard with round robin because it's every week is a different round, or is every night's a different round. It's really confusing sometimes because we haven't seen all the teams play each other yet.
Yeah, it's really, you can't really say looking at the ladder or the leaderboards where teams are really positioned at the moment, because not everyone's fought, and not everyone's fought each other either. So we just don't know. It's a bit of a, the ladder is as accurate as the current scheduling allows it to be.
That's correct. Well, I'm just going to quickly jump onto, I'm going to pull up my little TV here. I don't know if you've seen my little TV, Disco. I've got a little TV in the top right-hand corner of the screen. If you've got the window open, and you should be able to see that come up in a second. I can pull things from here. So, well, apparently, according to Tournament, I'm not allowed to even look at these pages. But it's a little TV screen. I can pull up some stats and things like that. For some reason, Tournament's not working for me right now, which means we can't pull up the current standings. Disco, do you have a leaderboard there by any chance?
I don't necessarily have one. Well, actually, I do have it in front of me. I can't provide you with one, but I have one in front of me.
That's all right.
So it's an interesting one at the moment. Looking at the leaderboard, we actually have Downfall Gaming and Crimson Gaming both sitting in that equal first place position, just based off the games they played and the points they've earned. After that, coming in at 3rd place, and again combined 4th and 5th is actually Outlaws, Quick Match Warriors, and Anomia, all sitting on 1 victory each and 1 loss, except for Anomia, who just haven't played a second game yet.
Yeah.
After that, we do then have Rich Gang, Aztec Entertainment, and Nekomimi, all currently sitting as bottom contenders in the league with no wins under their belts.
There you go, guys. Thank you, Disco, for the awesome leaderboard for me. You'll have to imagine it as Disco has said it. So picture it in your minds. It's on the TV, guys. It's on the TV, up in the corner. Moving on from that, Disco, what are your top 8 predictions for the season so far?
Oh man, going into this week, it's I'm just gonna bring him up because I've still semi-forgotten them, Blank. No, it's interesting enough. I think this week we're going to see a change on the leaderboards of Crimson moving up to first place. Crimson being 100% slotted into the first place. Nomia in second. Outlaws in third. And then Quick Match Warriors. And this is where it gets a bit fuzzy, the ladder. We should see, I hope we see Quick Match Warriors in the 4th position, then followed by Rich Gang, Downfall, Aztec, and Neko Mimi.
Oh, Disco, over the week, we've been running power rankings in our little Gamester admin chat thing. So we've taken the caster votes and got our own personal ranking system. So each week we're changing it because, well, obviously we can't predict every single week and how it's going to play out. So it's fun to do week to week. And it's fun to see where they change. I remember last week, Kit Fox actually put Outlaws at 6th place. Be interesting to see if that's still the same. All right.
It's a brave call. I'll say it's definitely a brave call. And if you are looking at potentially of the top 3, the team that has the, let's say, the weakest results in current time has been Outlaws. So, it's early in the year they did lose to Crimson the last time they met, and then they lost to Nomia in the earlier round. So, you could. It's a fair statement, but it is a very brave prediction to make in week 1.
Yeah. Well, what we're going to do, we've got it up on the TV screen at the moment. You can't really see it that well, but we're going to switch to a full screen of the power rankings so you can see them as well. We have Disco, as you said, Crimson number 1, Nomia second. You've given Outlaws 2 first place as well. That makes... I don't know whether this is possibly a typo. But you've got Crimson and Outlaws tied for first. Oh, nice. Juicy.
Not quite. It's I do believe that Outlaws should be sitting happily at our 3rd position.
Okay, there we go. So that's 3rd position, not first. Even though that's fine. GLP's there. It's pretty much 1 through 8, almost identical. The only switch around is he had Rich Gang above Downfall. Kid Fox has still got Outlaws at 6. Interesting.
He's keeping the brave. I mean, Outlaws do have a big game coming up, and we'll talk about that very shortly. But they got a big game this week that's really going to solidify their positioning in this league. When we talk about what sort of team they are, this is the match that's going to decide that.
Yeah, well, that will be a very interesting match to see. Fun fact as well, guys, tonight, we'll get into that later. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll quickly finish off with the power rankings. Vandy, our beloved Vandy, who just was in the HGC Western Clash over the weekend. Wasn't in it, was casting and analysing it. She's got her rankings there. Skimmies is there. And mine are finally there. I think we all got Neko Mimi at 8th. It's not BM. It's just fact. We think that they aren't gonna get any further than they have already, and we have seen a couple of issues over the last couple of nights. We'll go into that in a second. We'll cut back to us, Disco, so everyone can see your beautiful face again. We love your beautiful voice, but we want your beautiful face. Let's move on to your challenges on picking that top 8. Were there any issues you had picking that top 8?
It's the biggest, I guess the biggest trouble with the ladder is with picking our top 8 is looking at the schedule, because we are still waiting for so many games to be played. And it's just scheduling. It's not a problem. It's just the way things are. That each week, not only are you looking at where teams are moving, you're looking at who they're fighting, and you have to compare who other teams are fighting as well to get an idea of how the week's going to end up in the sense of predictions. And so that's why we see references like one of mine, Quick Match Warriors in 4th position. It's is it a brave prediction? Not really. I'm looking at the current games, and I'm sort of seeing, like, you know what, this week they might just happen to sneak into 4th position. based off how the games are playing out.
Yeah. Um, what about the common picks? I mean, we all kind of picked the same sort of teams for number one. We all picked Nomiya number one. We all picked Nekomimi number 8. Did you see there were any others that you noticed that were common picks?
Well, I mean, we're all looking at the downfalls of rich gangs, and even Aztec Warrior, and sort of juggling their positions around each other. It's I've very big commentary. I think I've got Rich Gang at fifth position or sixth position.
Yeah, fifth
and
position.
And then we've got other Vandy's at I think seventh position for Rich Gang. Kit Fox is sixth, and Skimmy is fourth, right? So we're all hovering around the same thing. We're kind of just waiting to see how the teams face off against each other.
Yeah.
And because these are the newer teams in the, let's say, they're preseason teams, right? I always consider the league to be the top 3 from last year, and then the top 5 from preseason. And it's those preseason teams that can really. This is their league to shine. It's their league to prove where they stand amongst their peers.
Yeah. Were there any, I wouldn't say wild cards, surprises? Are there any teams that you think are a surprise to be higher than they should be that we've ranked them?
It's all based off opinion, Plank, right? So you got to be careful. You're saying that this team doesn't deserve to be there.
Well, Aztec fourth, yeah.
Well, I mean, we're looking at Aztec fourth, Quick Match Warriors fourth. It's purely based off the scheduling at the moment. So, are they a top 4 team? Maybe. I'm not going to say that they are, but I'm not going to say they currently are. But the way the ladder works, the way the points can be arranged, it's possible that they might sneak into 4th position this week. It's up to them whether or not they hold it.
That is very, very, very true. Moving on, let's talk about the games tonight. You're not casting tonight, Disco. You're our Thursday night man, it looks. First game up for the night is Crimson versus Downfall.
Yep.
Who are you tipping for this game?
All right, so we definitely have to throw it in the court of Crimson here. It's I think this is going to be a 2-0 series. I hate to say it, Downfall, but this is Crimson's game to lose. It's their game to win. It's their game to lose if they choose it.
Yes, and out of the Crimson lineup, let's say if you could pick one of the 5, who would be your most important player to watch?
Oh man, there are 2 guys on this team. You say pick one, but I can't. I've got to be a rule breaker. I'm a bit of a rebel. I'm going to go for Azura, the range, range carry for Team Crimson.
Yep.
He's a great player. We saw last year very dominant Grey Main play, and then also following up that would be KVA, their new pickup, their tank. He's I always think of KVA as a bit of a like a grandfather figure in the scene, not because he's old, but just because he's just been in so many different teams over the years. He's got a real breadth of knowledge and expertise that he brings to the team. And as their warrior position, such a crucial role for the team as well. I mean, just seeing his frontline dominance or frontline denial against Downfall is going to be huge.
Yeah, well, I did say a couple of weeks ago, tanks are where I place my faith. If your tank can't stand up, then your whole team's going to fall down. And I think that, honestly, if KVA can perform as well as he regularly does, then they're going to take it without any question at all. Play styles. We all know, and we just talked about how Downfall are a very short game team, for lack of a better word. Do you think that Crimson, going into this, they're going to try to stretch the game out longer, or do you think that they're just too strong a team that they're just going to shut them down in the early game anyway?
I think it's not even going to be shutting down in the early game or stretching the game out. I don't think you're going to see a different approach that Crimson are going to take against Downfall. What Downfall will really look for when they verse other teams are those early leads, those early dominating plays, which are making off the back of mistakes or massive amounts of lane pressure. Crimson isn't going to give them the room to do that. They're not going to necessarily dominate in the early game, but they're just not going to make those little mistakes that you see characters getting caught out. You're not going to see Zura, if he does go a range to dive character, you're not going to see him dive the back line in a 1v5 situation
No.
and totally destroy. Even looking at downfalls, Konya plays an excellent Maev. If Maev even makes it to the pickable stage, you're not going to see Crimson in that position where Maev can do a big major play and pull someone out and just the team get a kill. So I think we're not going to see anything different from Crimson in their terms of play style. They're just going to play heroes the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah, well, I think you're right there as well. They are a strong team. Just straight up, they are a strong team. I don't think Downfall have what it takes to beat them. I think that if Downfall get on a roll and get some momentum going early in the game, then they can push their advantage. But if they start to fall behind, the second Crimson pick up 10, it's pretty much going to be over for Downfall, in my opinion. Predictions, we've already said who we predict is going to be the winner. I don't think we really need to go any further into that one. The second game for the night being streamed is no longer going to be Nekomimi versus Nomiya Disco. It was.
Yep.
It was. I'm going to have to move my hand because it does actually look like I'm giving you a handy on the table here. No, sorry. It was going to be Nekomimi versus... Stop it. Going to be Nekomimi versus Nomiya, but due to rostering issues, we'll say. We won't go too much into that one, but due to rostering issues, that game is not going to be streamed, which means that the one that everyone has asked for, which is Crimson vs Outlaws, is going to be streamed. It's going to be a phenomenal game.
I mean, this is probably the biggest game to date in the league, and it's only week 2, right? So not that we've had many games, but this is Outlaws and Crimson. These are probably the two biggest rivals in the scene. Last year, it was Crimson was sitting happily in 3rd place, and it was actually Outlaws that came through and kind of last minute dethroned them and took the 3rd place position for themselves. Earlier this year, Crimson kind of, let's say, got a little bit back on them, winning in a earlier tournament. So, but like I said, they're both massive rivals towards each other. And Outlaws, after the defeat from Nomiya last week, they're looking to reinsert themselves into this league. Nomiya did beat them in a rapid times, and they've been the end of a little bit of jokes and rebuttal as well from the chat, just from cast predictions and things like that. If Outlaws beat Crimson, they make a statement. They make everyone look silly.
Yes, they do. Well, as you just said, Nomiya made them look almost like a B-grade team in that first round. I think they'll be looking to get some vengeance back, get some respect back, and they will really push it because lack of preparation, lack of time to prepare, whatever they want to call it, they should have enough time to be prepared now for this game. Yeah, it wasn't expected to be streamed in the first place. But now that it is, they're going to be able to show whatever it is they've been practicing, the work that they've been putting into to do this on the big stage. What do you think that it's going to be? I don't know, not a close game. It will be a close game, I think. Do you have any predictions on who's going to take this one?
Oh, see, this is a tough one. I remember we did predictions last night, and I can't remember who I backed. I think I did go Crimson, just because at the moment they're running off just a wave of success. Right now they're 2-0 in the league. They're sitting equal first in position. Their roster change, bring on KVA, it's such a huge leap for them in terms of experience in such a vital role that you really have to throw it in Crimson's ballpark. And just again, just looking at the way Crimson play, they're just not making those little early mistakes where we kind of have seen in Outlaws against Nomiya. There was a couple of fights that did look a bit haphazard.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It's easy to analyze something after the fact, right? At the heat of the moment, a good call or a bad call has to be made. But I think that's something where we have to really look at this game, is that Crimson are definitely the favored team going into it. But if Outlaws can if Outlaws can keep themselves together during the match and work cohesively as a team, I can easily see them taking it to Crimson.
Well, I hope they do, because I mean it's going to be a great viewing as it is. I think it's going to go to 3 games. I think I'm back to Crimson last night as well. I'd like to switch my vote for tonight's game because it's being streamed and because of all of the, let's just say last week maybe kick-started them into gear. I think that they're going to come back strong. I think they've got something to prove this game, and I'm going to back Outlaws to win just this game. Just this game. I reckon that it'll be 2-1 to Outlaws. Players to watch. Out of the 2 teams, who do you think are going to be the most important to keep an eye on here?
Well, we're still looking at the the 2 from Azure and KVA, definitely from Crimson, big guys to watch. I think feel in this game a third person, right? Because you asked for 1, so I'm going to give you 3.
Okay.
A third one, actually, third person to probably, or maybe watching him more, is actually Ultivian on the side of Crimson.
Okay.
When you get to these high level games, you're always looking for that support player that can have a dramatic impact on keeping his team alive. So in the side of Crimson, I think definitely have to look at Ultivian. On the route of Outlaws, though, Outlaws is such an interesting beast. I think you have to look at Gondo, one of their newest recruits, and just look at his solo lane play. If he can really devastate in the solo lane up against, I guess, either Azura or who's their other Azura's probably it's a bit weird. I can't decide who's going to be in the solo lane. Maybe Jesmed's. Whoever he's up against, if Gondo can dominate, that's the breakaway chance that Outlaw needs, because Outlaws function very well as individual units. And again, Gondo, if he can win in the solo lane, Outlaws is definitely going to win. If he can win both, if he can win in the solo lane all the time, you may as well say 2-0 to Outlaws.
Well, if he can, then that would be fantastic. I mean, the solo lane, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations being put on that solo lane now. The solo lane has to be the most important lane, especially in 3-lane maps, because if you're winning that solo lane, your team can do the hell they want as 4. If you're losing that solo lane, then your team have to send someone to rotate. It means they're 3 versus 4, and it just makes it a lot harder. If they can trust that your solo lane is going to do the job, then they're fine. I still love my tanks, so I'm going to say keep an eye out for Icebold. He's been phenomenal. We've seen a lot of highlights from him. We mentioned the other week that he's been in a HOTS Untapped. He was in one of your massive moments where he did that massive bunker play against the KT Pyro. He'd run out and he got a bit excited. I like his play style. If they can pick up Blaze and get good old Icebolt on that one, then I think that they'll be fantastic.
I don't know if we'll see. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say blank. I don't think we'll see Icebolt on Blaze. They're more of a main tank position.
I know,
but I mean,
so
you're right. They understand their abilities really well. Icebolt's a great example of just what the Outlaw players can do, and their understanding of positioning, what's going on. And even just quick thinking, in that play, the bunker was 5 meters away. Like, it was quite a distance, and he knew to jet propulsion back into it, to save himself. So,
yeah. Before we wrap it up, because we are about to jump over to Blizzard_ANZ for the live games, which will be up in about 5 minutes. I quickly want to have a chat about the HGC on the weekend, Disco. I know we're supposed to be talking about ANZ so tonight, but I want to quickly touch on that. I mean, we saw Vandy casting, we saw Dignitas take away the win. We talked about it a lot last night as well, which is phenomenal. So we got a bit out of our chests, out of our way there. I just wanted to quickly talk about drafting. Do you think that that's going to affect how teams have been preparing, or how they're going to go into the rest of this season, seeing the drafts from the NA and from the European teams?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think so. It's I mean, there wasn't anything that was overly surprising a lot of the time. There's still a lot of bans, priority bans on Maev, priority bans on Blaze, things like that. So there was a lot of those going out. But I mean, all in all, it's the patches are going to be a greater have a greater effect. I mean, maybe there'll be a couple more Varian bans. Who knows? Because Varian was banned in the Western
was.
Clash over Garrosh. But I mean, it's probably more the patch notes that are going to affect future bans than what happened at the Western Clash.
Yeah, I just take away from it because the most picked heroes over the course of the entire weekend were the Tyrael, Blaze, Malfurion, and Tracer. Those 4 were the most played heroes in the entire weekend. And they're just a combination of those 4 heroes that we don't often see picked by ANZ. We've got a lot of focus on your Blaze, yes, maybe, now that he's come into a bit. Hanzo, Genji, they weren't as picked up heroes in the HGC or in the Western Clash. But we do tend to pick them a lot. That was my thoughts. I don't know. Just rambling on a little bit, maybe.
Well, you're seeing replacements, and we've already started to see replacements in our own league as well. Tracer's being a higher priority picked up, and even Thrall is sneaking back into the game because Genji and even I believe Hanzo. I can't actually remember if Hanzo's received any proper nerfs. Genji particularly had received a lot of nerfs, so now they're just experimenting and picking the next Divey style character, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see in a couple of weeks. I'm sure they'll release a new hero soon. We won't talk about that. I'd love to go over that on Untap next week, actually, Disco, if we can. Maybe get some predictions on what maybe the next hero will be.
Oh, we'll see.
Anyway, we'll wrap it up now because we've only got a couple of minutes left till they're live. Thank you, Disco, for being our guest tonight. Fantastic to have you on the show. We look forward to having you back later on during the season for another episode. Disco, your Twitter is /Disconcur. We've got you there on the screen. Twitch /Disconcur. Everyone, please go check out Disconcur. He's everywhere. He's Disconcur. Gamester, producing the HGC, www.gamester.com. Catch our content on YouTube and Twitch, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well. Calm Before the Clash, which is a weekly series of videos in both English and Spanish, highlighting the results and stories of interest from both our own region and the Copa America leading up to the Intercontinental Clash. Hosted by Vandy and Carolina. We just had our episode 3 released, and while Vandy was away, Skimmy filled in for her on that one, so he's in that video. And last but not least, Twitch TV /Blizzard_ANZ. Guys, switch over to that channel now. We will be throwing them a host for the live game. Lastly, but not leastly, thank you guys, everyone, for watching. You are the most important people to us. You make this show happen. You make the HGC happen in Australia, and we love you so much. But until then, we'll see you in the Nexus.